Once upon a time. My story began in the setting of the idyllic Midlands. Riding bikes through summer rain showers, a misty village was my playground, and a strong family unit was my home base. Here I was able to grow, and my faith grew too. It was really a fairy tale in the making. But real life is never quite as simple as the storybooks make it, and mine, of course, was no exception. It had seasons just like every other story. Long, barren winters of unexpected storms that shook the tender branches of my young faith and left me cold and often questioning. Life first went off script when my much-loved cousin died at the tender age of 9. Later it was the trauma of a horrid car accident and then a relationship heartbreak that really left me reeling. But thankfully God, the great author, still held my heart. And as I allowed him to write my story with him, he helped me turn the page and begin new chapters. The most unexpected chapter began in my early 20s when a famous sportsman with kind eyes and an infectious smile walked into the restaurant where I was waitressing. 20 years, 3 kids, 2 continents, hundreds of cricket games, and thousands of miles of traveling later, it's difficult to tell where his story begins and mine ends. Still, sometime last year, I felt compelled to uncover my story. To dig it out from the sidelines, to detangle it from the shadow of my much more famous husbands and write it down. Not because I'm worthy of the spotlight, but because the author of my story is. I felt scared and vulnerable, but soon discovered that owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Each and every one of us have a story, and if we choose not to be overcome by any particular part of our story, to keep writing even when the risk or sacrifice is overwhelming or the fear consuming, we will ultimately discover our part in God's bigger story. I'm learning that no great story was ever written without a few really tough chapters and heart-wrenching pains. I think these form part of all of our stories, but they aren't to be feared. They shake what is shakeable, so that we might in the end depend on the unshakable, and perhaps even turn our good stories into great ones. My storyline has been a crazy one, full of highs, lows, and unexpected adventures. But I'm glad that with God's help, every single day I can turn a clean page and try and write a better story than I did the day before. Amidst the chaos of 3 messy kids, a seriously busy husband, and the never-ending juggle of work, motherhood, and marriage, I now know my story is a good one. Not a perfect one, but a good one. And between the hellos and the goodbyes, the sticky hands and the snotty noses, I know I am in fact living my happily ever after. My hope is that each and every one of you will discover your unique story. Your story is beautiful. No matter how different it is to mine or how difficult it may be, know that God is the great author of your story, and it really is worth telling.